a lot of thought, Nick, and I want to run it by you.
Sure.
I think the surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, Mantar. Everything has a more real sports feel, and it gets you invested that much more.
The dude's teeth aren't probably as big either.
It gives it more of a big fight feel. It makes it feel more real. If that glass shatters, I won't be ashamed. There will be happy man tears streaming down my face. Just the goosebumps will be bumped out. I'll hold my arm out like The Rock so you can see my goosebumps. And I'll have happy man tears coming down my face if that glass shatters. Oh, my goodness.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Gold.
Hello, one and all. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. I am, of course, your host, never wrong, Nick Bull. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner, co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Network, the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
I'm feeling real good. We're gonna have a little Midas touch and get golden on this episode. I'm really excited for that.
This episode is as good as gold, as CZ mentioned. Our special guest this week is known as the 55-Minute Man. He's also known as the crown jewel of those damn Coyotes. And just as the title says, he is good as gold. He is Dreamwave Wrestling, as we know him for, coming fresh off a win over Bobby Orlando last night at their 9th anniversary show. Please welcome to the show the one, the only, Connor Hopkins. Connor, how you doing?
I am doing great, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. It's like I mentioned to you before the show, it's been a long weekend, but it's been a really great one.
Well, hopefully we cap it off here with all good vibes here. We're so happy to have you. And as soon as we booked you, man, I got pumped. And I'm like, I got a great picture of him when he won the Good as Gold Rumble. We're going to use that for the promo. I can't wait, but we're glad to have you here. I'm going to start off the show, Connor, by asking you what I ask every other guest. You're a professional wrestler. You obviously love wrestling. What got you hooked on pro wrestling? Why pro wrestling?
I don't know what it particularly was. I think it was, a lot of different factors. But ultimately, I was a theater kid growing up, and I also was into, I did sports and stuff too, and I liked both of those things. And I loved comic books growing up and video games, and was just a very creative and definitely ADHD kid. Just, I don't know, wrestling, it found that little nook or cranny in my head and just kind of wiggled its way in there and never really left. It was just, there were so many things that it was I didn't know was possible to put together in one thing.
Talk about your growing up. Who are some of the people that you watched and gravitated towards as you started your journey in professional wrestling?
Definitely guys like CM Punk, Alex Shelley, AJ Styles was a huge one for me growing up. But also I loved Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, and I think a lot of people that were on the more, I guess what you would call new age style. I was just always particularly drawn to them. In 2014, I kind of had fallen out with wrestling and got back into it, whatever. And Bryan Danielson, or at that time, Daniel Bryan.
Right.
That was a really cool time to be a wrestling fan.
Right around the WrestleMania 30 time, when it's kind of a grassroots effort where the fans took over and voiced their opinion, and you know, the rest of his history is he closed out WrestleMania 30 beating Batista and Randy Orton. But
Yeah.
we're glad to have Connor Hopkins here on the Card Subject Change podcast by the fan for the fan. You are part of a very dynamic group. We know you from Dreamwave Wrestling, but you're of course involved with other indies as well. Talk about the formation of those damn Coyotes, how it came to be, and the makeup of the group. It's a pretty unique group, and I like how you guys gel together.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And actually, I was hoping you were going to ask about that because I just want to see something. Hey, Damien does change. Do you want to be on this podcast real quick?
Hello.
All right.
Hey.
All right.
Coyote.
So they were asking about the formation of those damn Coyotes. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Hey, Dreamwave champion Christian Rose, come here.
Well, we're having a run-in we're having all kinds of run-ins today.
It's just like a wrestling show. They're taking over. They are taking over the show.
What are we doing?
Yeah, brother.
There he is, the Dreamwave champ.
Let's talk about the formation of those damn Coyotes. How did it happen? In your own words, my sweet summer child, Christian Rose.
I'm not super involved in the formation, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, you weren't even actually.
Yeah.
So
Nobody remembers this. There's the forgotten original one.
Yeah. So he wasn't even
We
in
had
the
to
group
upgrade.
originally. And then we had another guy, and then
He got injured and got out of wrestling.
we found this one.
If I recall correctly, it was basically the four of us were in a car and basically like, yeah, we're trying this show together. We only want to work with each other.
I remember there
We
was
should
a
just
group
be a
chat
group.
that I was in, so I was aware of the group's existence, but
Yeah.
I wasn't a part of that show.
Right.
So
But yeah, we all just like travel together all the time, and we all hang out together. Obviously, we're having a little bit of a Sunday fun day.
Am I allowed to drink on this show?
I think so.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're the champ. You can do what you want.
Hey, thanks.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a genuine thing, you know.
Yeah, dude. BRB.
Who came up with the name? I got to know who came up with the name.
That was me.
Okay.
That was me. Well, I mean,
was it a light bulb moment or how did it come?
you know, so Rose was calling himself
old evil bad coyote.
yeah, old evil bad coyote. And so because we're all students of Rose's,
Sure.
so we all were just kind of like
I know
the
that
coyotes.
those damn coyotes was your idea. I know that was yours.
That's on a recorded medium, by the way.
No, that you're actually getting it right.
And a visual medium for the first time ever.
Yeah.
You're actually getting it right for once, because I was doing the coyote thing because my idea was, if the Christian Rose character was an animal, what would he be? And that was what I came up with. And hey, also other wrestlers, you should try that. Think about that. Like,
Yeah.
if your wrestling character was an animal, what animal would it be? Ask yourself that question. See what you come up with. So that's why I started doing it. And then yeah, we started traveling together and getting bookings together and wanted to be in a group. So that's where it came from. But I know that you came up with the idea of those damn coyotes. But
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't usually do this, but Christian, since you're here, I'm going to give everybody who's watching the show a little bit of a preview. You're going to be featured on the show in just a few weeks here. And we're excited to have you on. So you and I were talking this morning about your match last night. So
yeah, feel good.
As those damn coyotes, what is it like stepping through that curtain and knowing everybody in the building came there to see you and they hate you? It's got to be one of the coolest feelings around.
Best job I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Connor, what do you feel when you walk through that curtain and then just the spies raining down on you?
Hungover most of the time. No, I don't know. It just, for me, it's such a natural, or it feels like such a natural thing to just ease into when you're just like, you think about it all the time and you just really like, I don't know, there's a certain stride that you just kind of take on as you walk through the curtain. I don't know how to describe it other than you just become someone else.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So I wanna touch on last night's match a little bit. You and Bobby Orlando. You brought your own little friend to the ring because Bobby has his goat Bobby Jr. Talk about what it's like. The commentary team called it the very first interspecies match. That just popped me a little bit. What were your thoughts going into that match and the outcome of that, or the whole thing? It just was a fun match to watch.
So actually, the entirety of the credit for the whole Burn of the Third thing goes to the illustrious, the lovely, the wonderful Meg, our studio intern here at our podcast. Uh, she, when the match got announced, she was like, "Oh, Bobby Orlando has a goat. You need a coyote." And so, like, I mean, we've been sitting on this for months now. Our creative team worked very hard at those coyotes. And so, yeah, dressed him up in a little bandana. I put him in the briefcase, and I knew I came to that match prepared for shenanigans and chicanery.
We definitely got it.
You referenced that briefcase, the briefcase you won from the Good as Gold Rumble. Let's go back to that night where you went 55 minutes. You were number one, the first one in the ring. We sat front row and watched you win that thing. Talk about that match and just the endurance you had to get through the whole thing, 55 minutes. Cards were stacked against you at times. You had the cards on your side at one time. But most important, you walked out of that briefcase. Talk about how much that match meant to you and how much it's changed your future.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I did have superhuman endurance and just elite level athleticism, and above all else, just a superior intellect, really, is what it comes down to. You know, I have 2 college degrees, so it's really not hard for me to strategize big matches like these.
And the durability to withstand the world's largest Bronco Buster and
Yeah.
still come out on top.
Still
Yes.
unscathed. To be viciously attacked by both Mike Bennett and Black Machismo at the same time, which is something that, frankly, I never thought that I would say.
Yeah, I know the crowd popped. The crowd popped real hard for Black Machismo. There were some very, very cool interactions between you and Black Machismo in that match. And you talked about him and Mike Bennett taking it to you. I want to know when you tossed over Vic Capri to win that Good as Gold Rumble, what were your immediate thoughts, your reactions?
Well, for some reason, I just fully fell on my back. But I was just like, holy shit, we got there. Like, we did it. I was amazed at how like energized I still felt, but that immediately stopped as soon as the match was over. I was a wreck for the rest of the night. But yeah, it felt really cool.
The Good as Gold briefcase, insurance policy or savings investment? What is it?
It's definitely an insurance policy just to make sure that the belt always stays within those damn coyotes.
Would
So
Christian Rose agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think there'll be any tension when you finally cash in that briefcase then?
Well, no, I would never cash in on Rose, like, obviously.
Well, I'm not suggesting that by any means, but if Rose were to somehow lose the title and you gain it via cash in, there going to be any tension there about you being the champion over Mr. Christian Rose?
I don't think so. I think,
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
If title.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
tag titles.
Exactly.
There's other things. There's other options. You ever entertain that idea?
Yeah. Come on now,
That's
guys.
fair.
I like that line of thinking. I do.
I do
You get
too.
newly crowned tag team champs, the hype last night after their ladder match.
The last time I checked, we had the hype beat the last time we had him in the ring too. So,
you did. You lay claim. Maybe you guys lay claim to the number one contendership.
You know what? That don't sound like a bad idea to me.
I'm all for it.
you've got alternative champion Mustafa Ali that you could cash that in on as well.
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be something? I could say that I beat Mustafa Ali.
That's a feather in the cap right there. That's even better than being good as gold, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's being, yeah. Oh yeah.
So Connor, obviously Dreamwave is a big place for you here. A lot of investment, a lot of emotion. Talk about some of the other places you've wrestled and just kind of the feel. Do you get a different feel at different promotions, different venues? Or I guess the best question to ask, what is your favorite place to go?
Oh man, when you start talking about like favorites and stuff like that, it gets really hard for me to answer. But what I will say is, I think, I mean, I always say it is one of my favorite places to go, but Time Bomb Pro, Fargo, North Dakota. They run at a venue called the Sanctuary in Fargo. It's this awesome event center. The Fargo crowd is always spectacular, so they make that venue just great. It does, of course, help that I am the Sanctuary champion at Time Bomb Pro. So, I feel like I gotta rep the venue a little bit,
And I was just about to mention that you had a match here in the last couple of weeks against one of my favorites, Eric Cannon. Always love seeing. Where can our viewers find? Is there a way to look at Time Bomb Pro? Because I'm not overly familiar with the promotion myself.
Yes, so they were on IWTV for a while, but now we have gone to YouTube and Patreon. So there's a lot of exclusive content on Patreon, but otherwise, Time Bomb Eric has been posting full matches and cards on their YouTube account. So just look up Time Bomb Pro on YouTube and you'll find all sorts of goodies. You can find me and Paul London from December of last year. If you're interested in that, that is an insane match.
Sure.
Yeah, me and Cannon, I'm certain will go up soon. Yeah, there's a lot of really great stuff that Time Bomb Pro is doing.
You've got me invested. Talk about stepping in the ring with Paul London. That had to be a hell of an experience.
Holy shit, was it ever? He is an odd cat for sure. He's a different kind of dude, and he definitely taught me a lot more about like intensity in ring because he's a very, very intense wrestler. He also sang the Thunderball theme on his way to the ring and hit me with a garbage bag and a garbage can. So, there's a lot that he's a complex human being.
What's one piece of advice or one story you can share with us that you've taken away from someone you've been in the ring with that you thought maybe you wouldn't get that piece of advice or that good experience with them and you walked away, wow, that really, really changed my mind about that person?
Ooh, that's a good question. Man, maybe it is Paul London, I think. Okay. Because going into it, I was like, okay, it's just ex WWE name, like what's he gonna want to do? Probably nothing. Whatever. And him being totally game and being way nicer about everything and like being genuinely insightful and just actually being very, very helpful. Like he was way cooler than I ever could have imagined. And so that was definitely one of those, like, I was happy to be wrong about somebody. Cause like, I thought he was just going to come in and like, we were going to have whatever bullshit match and then
push his way around and flex himself and be like, this is how it's going to be. And it was just the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. He was great.
Would Paul London, would you say he's the biggest name that you've wrestled? Is there someone else that comes to mind that you think was just a great experience and a big name that you can throw out there, not to make you a name dropper?
Oh, I mean, my my work with Mike Bennett has all been a really, really great experience. Like, I got to work him in a singles last summer at Dreamwave, and then in a scramble match, and then we had some interaction in the Good as Gold, and yeah, actually, so the original plan for Anniversary was going to be me and Mike Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were going to run it back one more time. But then Bobby Orlando had to get in my way. So Bobby Orlando. But I'm just chasing Mike Bennett because every time I'm in the ring with him, I learn something more. He is so unbelievably fluid and smooth. And he's such an intense athlete, and he just loves wrestling like no one else. So yeah, Bennett's another guy that's definitely a big name that I have gotten a lot out of.
Awesome.
As a wrestling fan, I'll put over Mike Bennett here for a second. Anytime I see him on TV for AEW Ring of Honor or in person at Dreamwave Wrestling, you can genuinely tell that he is having the time of his life. He cares and is having fun. Like that like comes through the audience very easily, I think, for him, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, big time.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead, CZ.
Dreamwave brings a lot of big names in who aren't necessarily wrestling, but are there as a presence. Do you still, as a fan, get goosebumps when you see the likes of Ted DiBiase coming in, Bret Hart, people like that, people that are just legends in the business? Do you get those fan goosebumps when you see these people and meet these people?
You know, it's not necessarily for a lot of the like old like WWF legends and stuff like that, because I'm a different kind of dude. You know, my jam is all the like early 2000s indie stuff.
Sure.
That's fair.
So it's like, you know, having Ted DiBiase and Hacksaw Jim Duggan in the locker room, like, cool. Hey, neat. Hi, nice to meet you, sirs. But like having Alex Shelley in the locker room, it's like I become a 9-year-old kid again, and I'm just terrified and like can't go up and talk to him. So yeah, you know, I still get starstruck by different people.
I would love to see a 9-year-old, those damn Coyotes, Connor Hopkins, not being able to say anything. That just kind of that visual cracks me up. But
right, it's not very often that I'm at a loss for words, but like,
right,
yeah.
Well, gentlemen, let's take this moment. We do have to pay some homage to our network and our sponsors, so let's take a brief timeout. Run the commercial. We'll come back. I've got something to talk about as far as something we're sponsoring, and then we'll get right back with Connor Hopkins here in just a moment. Okay. All right. Stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Football season may be over, but for frequency's sake, still has you covered for all your sporting needs. Tune in every Sunday when the best professional wrestling podcast around, Cards Subject to Change, gets you caught up on everything inside the ropes. They won't miss a count with weekly analysis and interviews. More into auto racing? We've got a double dose for you on the track. Tune in to Fast Money with Rod Villagomez each week and win some money with the quickest bets in all of sports. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your basketball fix? Points in the Paint has you covered with live shows every other week looking at everything in the association. Backed by popular demand, we have the return of The Payoff Pitch, FFSQC's baseball show, covering you on news around the MLB. If you're missing football, don't fret. Mark and Dan still have you covered in the football lounge. Missing Joe Winkle? Probably not, but he's still here talking sports on Educated Ignorance. Football season might be over, but we've still got you covered. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
For Frequency's Sake is brought to you by Durham Remodeling, serving the Quad City area's remodeling and repair needs since 1973. Clint's Draft House, grab a bite and a pint. 7th Street Moline. Lopez, New York-style pizza served up by the slice or pie, Davenport. Lifted Energy, energy drinks, coffee, donuts, and more. #GetLifted. Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. Sports cards and memorabilia, vintage clothing, hats, pennants, and more. Ryan Allison Tattoo. Step into the vibrant world of tattoos with Ryan Allison. And A Cut Above, offering quality custom woodwork designed specifically around our customers.
Welcome back to the show. This is
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, protected by Jared Zook. We'll get back with Connor Hopkins here in a couple minutes. But CZ, you got something you want to talk about that the Card Subject to Change show is sponsoring.
We are 100% proud sponsors of the third annual Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show. Sandra Lee passed away from COVID in 2021. But all the proceeds for this charity car show are going to the Autism Society of the Quad Cities. The reason we are sponsors, you get to see legends like Coco Beware, The Godfather, and one Shockmaster or Tugboat, Mr. Fred Ottman. The original Glow Girl Hollywood will be there. This all happens on May 4th at the Rock Island County Fairgrounds. You can get in on a raffle for a Pepsi, a Pepsi pedal car for just $1. You can get autograph posters. There are limited amounts of those autograph posters, but be sure to stop by, make a donation. Suggested donation is $5 if you want to register a car. That is $20. And like I said, that all happens May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. We will have a presence there. We'll see you at the Rock Island County Fairgrounds for the Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show, third annual. I'm excited, Nick.
I'm very excited too. Just as excited as I am that we have Connor Hopkins from Those Damn Coyotes and from Dreamwave Wrestling on the show this week. He stepped away for a couple seconds here, but there he is. He's back. He's live from the Coyote compound, if you will.
I am, yeah.
We got a tour just a little bit earlier. Dreamwave champion Christian Rose was on. Connor, I got a question for you. What's one thing that you are trying to improve upon as a wrestler or as a performer each time you go out there? Is there something that, hey, I'm not doing this the way I want to, or I can do better? Or what's something that you maybe beat yourself up on or try to focus on to be the best Connor Hopkins you can be?
I think honestly, be the best Connor Hopkins I can be is not to focus on the flaws, but to accentuate the positives,
Good answer.
I think especially in regards to Dreamwave, like everything I've been doing has been working so far. So why try anything else? I would say anything, it should be beating people quicker, I think. So I think I need to start hitting people a lot harder.
Okay.
I broke out a Tiger Driver 98 last night, a J Driller.
I saw that.
Yeah, I figured, you know what? I'm going to start dumping people on their heads because, yeah, I don't like them.
Maybe we get the Connor Hopkins 3-minute challenge where you set the clock at 3 minutes and see if you can beat him beat your opponent in those 3 minutes.
Yeah, the Rodney Mack White Boy Challenge.
There you go.
I love it. I love it. Connor, one thing we do every once in a while here on the show. Well, before we get to that, I ask this every once in a while. Do you have any superstitions or do you have any routine as you're getting ready for a show, whether it's on the show day or the week building up? What's your routine like to get into gear, to get into that mindset to go out and wrestle?
I'm not very superstitious. I'm a person who believes very much in the power of discipline and willpower, and so I don't leave it up to superstition really, but I do have the things that I like to do. Normally I like to go tanning the week of a show, especially a big show, just get that tan popping. I'm always in the gym, so I don't need to really worry about going to the gym more. But I think more so than anything is I am constantly watching film. That is my big thing for preparing for matches is I'm watching my own film. I'm watching my matches back to see stuff that works, stuff that doesn't. But I'm also watching matches of my opponents in different settings, in their home promotion, when they're away, when they are working, with multiple opponents, or they're working in a singles match. It's all about knowing your opponents. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of ring psychology.
I love that. I love that. And you don't see that as often as you should these days. I think it needs to be made more prominent in the world of wrestling.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you watch your own matches, you watch your opponents. Is there anybody? I know you said you're a child of the 2000s and watching those. Is there a particular wrestler that you watch to pick up from your era of wrestling, to pick up any tips and tricks? Is there one in particular that stands out that you would gravitate watching more of?
It's hard to pick one, of course. I think somebody who has always been an influence on me, and it's apparent if you ever look at, how I act or a lot of things. CM Punk is a big one for me.
Okay.
Always has been. But I like Adam Cole is my guy. Adam Cole was like the first indie wrestler that I came up on, and watched him, form Kingdom and then be part of Bullet Club and have all the success that he's had. Like, he's definitely been a huge influence on me.
And I think that I'm glad you mentioned him. That's a wrestler I think that is underappreciated. Obviously, he's injured and hasn't been on TV for quite some time, but for a smaller guy, really goes out there and can wrestle any kind of style with anybody, and is so good on the mic and is so good at telling a story. I honestly can't wait till he gets back and he's better, and I'm sure AEW can't wait till he gets back, because they're hurting without him, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and go back, do yourself a favor and go back and watch, like 2012 Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly in the hybrid fighting rules match. Like, go back and watch some of that early stuff, because you'll realize that he has like earned his downtime at this point, because he was arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world for a while, and I feel like not enough people talk about that.
I can agree with that. I can.
What's the 5-year plan for Connor Hopkins? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you project yourself in 5 years? Goals. Obviously the future's bright for you. Where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So I just turned 25 last November.
You're still a youngin'. You're still a youngin'.
And I yeah. So yeah, just turned 25 and told myself 5-year plan. I want to have a contract by the time I'm 30.
Okay.
What that means, can change. What contract means. Maybe I'll change it to just having a job somewhere in wrestling. But I know that in 5 years, I would like to make wrestling my full-time source of income.
All right, let me follow that up. Is there a particular company, whether it's AEW, whether it's WWE, or even like the TNA or MLW, is there a particular company where you feel you would fit best in?
I don't know. That's tricky to say. I know a few people who work for AEW and Ring of Honor. Just, mutual friends and what have you. And I really, really enjoy AEW's product. I really enjoy the way that it is booked. I think it's because Tony Khan and I have basically the same exact taste in wrestling. And so it's like I'm on board with whatever he's booking, because he's also booking that directly for me. So I love it. Like Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama is like one of those matches that you're like, only a real fan of this shit would book that. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to get the opportunity to work for AEW. I think that would be great. But I think my all-time bucket list is to be on Ring of Honor.
Okay. I'd love to see you there. I think that'd be a great fit for you. Let's before we get you off the hook, I always like to have some fun and play some fantasy booking. Obviously, we're talking about the potentially being with Ring of Honor. Let me throw this out to you. If there were any wrestler, past or present, that you could step in the ring with in their prime and your prime, who's it going to be? Where's the match taking place?
Okay, I have two answers.
Okay.
My first one is Jimmy Jacobs. It would take place in like 04, 05 Mid-South, IWA Mid-South.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it would be awesome. And then my big one, like my all-time answer, is Jimmy Rave. Rest in peace, Jimmy Rave. Like, he's a huge inspiration of mine as well. If I could have wrestled him, when he was rocking with the Embassy, at like the peak of his run in Ring of Honor, when they were like, they were throwing toilet paper at him every show.
They were.
Like,
yeah.
Just incredible stuff. The regular chant was "Die Jimmy, die!" Like, he was just such a great heel and a good wrestler. And so, yeah, I don't know. Jimmy Rave is one of those matches that's like my all-time dream match.
And Rave had a great feud with Punk in Ring of Honor, so it comes kind of full circle back with CM Punk again. So,
yeah.
Excuse me, sorry, my Connor. Let's look at this. So, being a student of wrestling, watching the product, being a part of the product, if there were a storyline that you could place yourself into, whether to improve it, whether to just be a part of it, where would you put yourself? Whose storyline are you invading?
If I could have been part of the invasion storyline in WWE in like 2001, I think that would have been awesome. Give me the
hey, adding you already makes it better. Adding you saves it.
But I would love to have been like just one of the background like WCW or ECW guys, like just getting to go and kind of do whatever and just be WCW guy. Like if I could be Mr. Immunity Test in the invasion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Test. That's one guy I enjoyed watching. A big guy who could go, he could move. And that's one guy, RIP to Test. That I was definitely a big Test fan.
Dude, Test fucking ruled, man.
Yes. Agreed, man. I'm glad we agree on that. I knew I liked you for some reason. When Connor Hopkins isn't in the ring, he's away from the ring, away from wrestling. What's he doing?
So anymore, what he's doing is watching old Ring of Honor DVDs, obviously, always. I just bought a 4-wheeler, so I've been riding my 4-wheeler around.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I do a lot of like graphic design stuff too. I'm just always creating. I do all the merch and stuff for TDC, so that always keeps me busy. Yeah,
I was gonna say you got some catchy merchandise. That 4 of Coyotes shirt, the flag, the circle logo that's featured on your guys' gear. That's some pretty cool stuff, man.
Hey, thank you, man. That's yeah, that was pretty much all devised by me. A wonderful artist, Rachel Bond, did the tarot card design, and it is the coolest thing that I have ever gotten to put my name on or associate myself with. It is such a cool piece of art.
And I think the cool ring gear, the cool the t-shirts, the merch really puts you guys and the TDC puts them even elevates them even more. I mean, fans gravitate to that stuff. Fans see that. It's
Yeah, man.
everybody loves a cool ass heel group, and you guys exemplify that with your merch, I think.
Yeah, man. You look at what sells merchandise over the years, and it's teams. It's cool ass teams, man. I feel like nobody has quite figured it out yet, but I would love to see more team stuff on the indies, man. Like, there's a few factions on the indies that I know TDC would like to tussle with, but like, yeah, man, it's all about branding. It's all about creativity. It's all about creating your own space in the marketplace.
We have a question in the comments here from one of our good friends, Stryker. Wants to know, Connor, what's your favorite match that you've been in so far?
Ooh, gosh. Recently, I had a tag match at St. Louis Anarchy with Christian Rose against Anakin Murphy and Zach Sawyers. And this is probably recency bias speaking, because this was only a few months ago. But I thought that match was so much fun. It was awesome. And just, it went perfectly, or almost perfectly.
I like that answer. I think that's good. Connor, before we let you off the hook, got to ask, where can our fans find you on socials? Where can they find the ring coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so you can find me on socials, Instagram and Twitter. I'll never call it X. It's always Twitter. You can find me at Connor Hopkins 98 or Linktree C Hopkins 98. Merchandise, you can find it at chmerch.com, thosedamncoyotes.com. There's currently a pre-order right now for a fun little 420 themed merch drop. So you can get that at thosedamncoyotes.bigcartel.com. I'm trying to use a Big Cartel site to do a little bit more unique items.
Sure.
So always check that out. But yeah, always keep in touch with, Those Damn Coyotes and all of that stuff for merch and where we're going to be. And just cool stuff. But yeah, as far as finding me in the ring coming up, next weekend, I am up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or St. Paul, Minnesota for Pro Wrestling Battleground. I'm at Rocket Pro Wrestling in Joliet, Illinois, coming up in a few weeks. And then we're into May, and I can't remember. I just put a graphic out on my social media about my upcoming dates for the next 8 weeks or something like that. So yeah, you can find me online always.
Awesome.
And he can be found here at the Card Subject to Change podcast. Connor, we're so happy that you were able to join us. He's part of one of the hottest commodities in pro wrestling right now, indie pro wrestling, Those Damn Coyotes. We got a tour of the Coyote Den. We loved it. That was awesome. So glad for, taking time out of your busy schedule to hang here with us.
Yeah, man. Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate you coming on. That's going to wrap up our episode for today. We will have a bonus episode where Connor was gracious enough to come on a little earlier than our normally scheduled time so that Nick and I can watch AEW Dynasty tonight. And I can tell you, I can't speak for Nick, but I'm looking forward to Jack Perry coming back. Not at all.
Are you watching Dynasty tonight, Connor?
Yeah, actually, that's what we're heading to do right after this.
What match are you looking forward to the most in that show?
To tell you the truth, because I've been real busy lately, I haven't kept up with what the card is, but people are just telling me that there are insane matches, and I kind of want to go into it blind and just see what happens. What Ospreay and Danielson is on this card, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That one.
Me too. I'm really stoked for it. I've missed the last couple weeks of TV, but I know it's a loaded card, so I'm kind of going in with an open mind as well.
Yeah. I think Danielson is
absolutely
all time, so it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be great. It really is. It's almost like we're in the presence of beyond greatness and just appreciate it while we still have it, right?
Exactly.
Yes. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you again, Connor, for coming on. We appreciate you being on the show. Nick and I will be back Tuesday with our review of AEW Dynasty, and then catch us back next Sunday at our regular time. We will see you then. This has been Card Subject to Change, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook Country Financial. We'll see you next time right here on Card Subject to Change.